good morning. I'm glad you're here. You guys are an amazing class. You really are. And it's been my honor and privilege to work alongside you and for you for the last 4 years or so. You guys continue to impress me with your maturity and your confidence and just your general got it together-ness, if that's a word. So I'm glad we're taking this time to say thank you. It's been an amazing 4 years with you guys. You guys have seen a lot of changes in this band program in a few 4 short years, and you handled it like pros. And I'm very impressed with you guys, your work ethic, your dedication, all of that stuff. So thank you for allowing me to be along for the ride. I hope you enjoy your breakfast, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Thompson. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, y'all. I want to echo the sentiments and say how special a class you guys are. Just a wonderful group of youngsters that are now poised to enter adulthood and actually change the world the same way that you changed this band. You were welcomed into this world at the dawn of a new millennium, and now here you are poised to enter adulthood and do amazing things, the same way that you did amazing things for this band program. And I, for one, and I'm sure that my colleagues share my sentiments, know that you will not be forgotten, and you will just do incredible things as I try to check in on each of you and see where you're going. I just know with confidence that y'all are going to do special things wherever you wind up, the same way that you did special things here. And the legacy that you leave wherever you go will be the lasting legacy, such as the one that you're leaving here at Lassiter. So thank you. My role right now is to introduce our keynote speaker. You know, the cliche of he needs no introduction is actually true in this case. He is the, I call him the architect of the Lassiter Band. There's so many principles and traditions that he was the starter of, and he is the precursor to who we are right now. So without further ado, if you would join me in welcoming your keynote address from Mr. Alfred L. Watkins.
Morning, everybody. How you doing? You don't sound good. Good. Yeah, it's time to celebrate. I'm not a keynote speaker. They bring me back once a year so that people can remember what I look like. And so continue to eat, and we'll just visit for a little bit. Nothing serious. All the serious stuff is behind you. You've gone through 13 or 14 years of first step of formal education, and you're about to go into something else. And who knows what it'll be, but you'll be in a good place. I believe in laughter. I believe in smiling. I believe in having a good time. I believe in trying to be successful. The laughter comes first for me. It helps my insides. And in theory, it should help yours. I've had the luxury of traveling a bit the last couple of years. And when I go out now, I get asked the same question. Doesn't matter whether I'm in Utah or doing an honor band in Southern California or in our famous Midwest. I saw the Lassiter Band doing something somewhere. Those kids are doing great, Alfred. Congratulations to them. But I never get a chance to tell you that because I typically see you sometimes around band camp and then in separate classes otherwise. I've learned a lot. I spent some time I spent the first day of spring in Minnesota for the first time. And it wasn't pretty. It was the frozen tundra. It was awful. I hated it. It was a high of 16 and a blizzard. I was on the campus of St. Cloud State, Minnesota, and the youngsters were wearing short sleeve shirts, short pants, and sandals to class. Likewise were the band directors. When I did the honor band, they played everything piano and mezzo piano for about an hour. Didn't matter what the markings of the volume said. So I tried to coax them to play louder, and I tried to encourage them to play louder, and I didn't quite know what it was. But I ran into the same kind of personality. I did the Illinois All-State Band. I did Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all back to back to back. And they were real similar kinds of kids. So when I asked the host, I'm going back to Minnesota in a second, I says, well, what's wrong with these children? They said, Alfred, you're in the Midwest. And my mind immediately went, boring. So these are Midwestern values that we have here. I said, what are they? They said they're honor, and integrity, and courtesy, and a high degree of character, and warmth, and charm. And I said, it sounds just like home, but you can welcome me to your area by playing your dynamics correctly. And so they did. But that's, so in Minnesota they call it Minnesota nice, I found out. I had never heard that expression before. But one of the assistant band directors that was here years ago, Ms. Sinan is the director of bands at St. Cloud's. So after an hour, I asked her, what's wrong here? And she said, Alfred, they call it Minnesota nice. But I found through traveling that we're kind of put together similarly. And in the States, they're all kind of the same. You've got great players, you've got not so great players. You've got some that are tall, some short, some bashful, some not so bashful. But it's always nice to come back to here, where there's a kind of a potpourri of all the values that I see out in the country back at Lassiter. You're in a kind of a sacred cocoon, and you don't even know it. And I kind of had a sense of it when I was here. So take that sacred cocoon that you have. I have a couple of short things I'm going to give you. Nothing major, nothing keynote-ish. I worked in this community for 31 years. I've lived here for 37 or so. So I kind of know your background. I know the information that your parents have given you. I know the information your grandparents have given you, and your aunts and uncles. I know the village with which you've grown up in. And I know what your band parents are telling you. And I certainly know what your band directors are telling you. So you're getting all the good stuff. You just have to figure out how to use that stuff when you leave. And that's the most important thing. I'll give you about 3 or 4 things here, and they'll be condensed, because I'm sure you're very anxious to get to first period class today. How many days until graduation, by the way? How many days? Oh, yeah. I know. You're like wind-up dolls. You just go until everything stops. Take some time when you get home. When you have your leadership classes, there's a part of leadership classes that I suspect is still intact. It's a self-evaluation chart in the little booklet that you have. And that's one of the times that will allow for you to look inside of yourself and see who you are. You are a product of the intent of your parents, and the intent of your grandparents, and the intent of your community. But you have a different fingerprint than them. You see life with a slightly different twist. You don't want to be the same as them. You don't want to be the same as my generation. If that's the case, then your mindset goes back to the 1950s. We have the internet now. We have cell phones now. So your thumbprint or your fingerprint allows for you to be different just by your design. And don't forget that. And each one of us has a slightly different one, with a DNA path that you all understand, but a fingerprint, which makes you you, makes you unique. The challenges that you'll face as you go through will be exciting. Life is literally a roller coaster. I'll define it for you. You'll go uphill, slow. You'll have peaks. You'll soar and grin as you ride the wave going down. There are deep, deep, deep valleys down there. You'll come back up, it plateaus, and it stays calm, kind of like this morning. And then it'll twist and it'll go in a whole nother direction. I went to college thinking I was going to be a lawyer, Mr. Watkins. I really love elementary education. That's that twist that goes. I don't know what it is that drives me that way. My parents want me to stay in being an attorney. But I feel that push to work with elementary school kids. Then you go again and you hit another incline where you're not quite so sure. I thought I wanted to be an elementary specialist, but I really, really enjoy working with the homeless. And you take off and you go again. But at the end of the day, you go back to the dock and it's flat. So you'll be okay. But there are literally twists and turns in life, and life isn't going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's going to be 30. It's going to be 40. It's going to be 50. So I'll try to give you a little bit of information that'll help you out 30, 40, 50 years away. My brother graduated from high school in 1965. I was 11 years old. Could barely walk and talk and read. The motto for his high school graduating class, I'm the only one in the family that remembers it. It was a banner above the stage that said, "Success is counted worthy by those who succeed." I was 11 years old. It went in, I don't even know it went in there. It went back to the back of the supercomputer, or in my case, a regular computer, and it stayed. And I don't know how it got in there. So when I see my oldest brother now, who's 72 years old, I said, "Fred, what was your high school motto?" He said, "I don't know, man." So I tell him, success is kind of worried about those who succeed. You sure? And so about 5 years ago, we found the graduation picture. And there the sign was, just like I had seen it, blue, white, 50 years ago. So sometimes you'll get things, you don't know where they get in there, but they'll sit back in here and you'll have to kind of figure it out. So this is what I would suggest for you to do. When you find some time, not first period class, away from everyone, you find your fingerprint. You write down, what do I believe? And you keep it on you. You put it in your wallet in the corner, you crinkle it up, and put it in every wallet that you have. Or whatever it is for the young ladies carry, that they carry all the time. When you change it, you keep it in a little corner someplace because it's just yours. And you pull it out every so often, every 5 or 6 years, and say, where am I on this? Ooh. I left high school one person, and I'm an improved version now. Well, why is that the case, Mr. Watkins? Well, because the world is at your fingertips. Everything that happens has a great impact on you because of your fingerprint. It does. It's just the way it works. Sometimes we think that it doesn't, but it truly does. And every little twist and turn along that roller coaster ride impacts you, yes? Yeah, and you don't even know it. So that's important to know. I would suggest to write down what do you believe with regards to these subjects. You can make up another 10 or 15. I just gave you a few. With regards to your fellow person. How do you see your fellow person in your life? How do you see excellence in your life? Well, unfortunately for me, I saw it with the highest degree of attainment through integrity and character, hard work, and a smile. So that's why the 9 to 9s were so important. The bands were very good between 8 and 9 p.m., and they still are. And that's where that comes from. It's the perception of excellence through those guys. And it can actually be fun. How do you see good cheer? How do you see smiling? How do you see laughter inside? Anyone can be a class clown. Anyone can be a kind of a pseudo stand-up to draw attention to themselves. But how do you see good cheer yourself? There's good cheer when you help the next person, which is what my wife's good cheer is. My wife lives to help the next person. I'm a better person as a result of it. If it's snow on the ground, she's going to get some milk and take it to some elderly person in the subdivision, whether she knows them or not. No kidding. She'll drive 3 blocks down the road. She says, there's an old lady that lives down here. She needs some water and some milk. But you don't know her. She needs it, though. When I drive by her house, there are no cars in front. She'll take it. That's how she sees good cheer. I perceive good cheer slightly differently because my fingerprint's different. So how do you perceive good cheer? How do you perceive service to others, or is that important to you? I'd like to encourage you that it's one of our greatest feelings. All these folk that are standing around, those are not necessarily your parents. Those are people that love children and love the organization for what the organization has given to them, what the organization has given to their children. And they are serving the organization to make a better way for you. We could ask all of these people to come back next year at this time, and I guarantee you they come back and they do the exact same task. It's called service. You don't get a lot of that in the schools because in the schools it's take, yes? That's how it's put together. But see that how you see service. Yeah. These guys over here are in the service industry. That's what they are. We're the same as law enforcement, some other firefighters. We're in the service, we serve our communities. And that's the industry that they have chosen to be in. Find my notes. You're not laughing right now. Make sure you address how do you see the race to the top. We all want to get to the top of the stack, to be the best that we can be. But there's a race to get to the top. And take it from an organization that's been on the top for a long time. If you're courteous, and if you're kind, if you support others, if you do your best, and the view from the top is even nicer. But there are some people that get to the top and they're mean. And they're not encouraging. And we don't enjoy that space with them. So how do you perceive the race to the top? How do you see building your community? Now, community isn't the last of the community. The community is this table. This is another community. This is another community. That's another community. That's another community. That's another community. How do you perceive your community? And what do you contribute to your community? And so community can be a very small subset, or can be the American lifestyle. Or the community can be all of mankind. Well, this is 10, 20, 30, 40 years around. When you have all these commencements and all these addresses, they'll tell you how to get to college and what to do when you get to college. When you get to college, they'll tell you what to do when you get out. And I'm going to give you some things that will help you hopefully later on. Write down your dreams, your aspirations, your dreams. And those, you can make anything. You can make them anything. Don't limit yourself. Write down your top 10 things that you would like to be. The top 10 things you would like to be, and see can you find a path to get to one of them. And that's always real important. And they don't need to be practical. So says Walt Disney, who built an empire based on the life and times of a rodent. Walt Disney built an empire. He built an American way based on the relative to the rat, because he had a dream. Find your passion, things that you are desperately interested in, and things that you're not so interested in. But find your passion. It may be what you do every day, and it may be what you don't do every day. Mr. Menninger enjoys the video and the audio. It's a passion of his. And Mrs. Menninger allows him to buy all this dumb, stupid equipment that he wants to buy because she loves him and she knows that is part of his passion. My passion is in my basement. And my wife allows me to go down there at 10 o'clock in the night, and she doesn't bother me between 10 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. That is my passion. My music is in my basement. And that's when I go down and I listen and I study and I learn. And the last one I'll give you is patience. How do you perceive patience? And I share one with you since I'm at Lassiter. In the 50s and 60s, I grew up in Georgia, southern rural Georgia. We had to fight through desegregation and fight through marches and fight through white supremacists and neo-Nazis. The night of my first football game at Lassiter, we hung a left outside and we were going through Walton. And just about the place where Harrison Park now stands on Shallowfoot Road, it was an open meadow. We called it a pasture back in the day. A big open field. There was a sign that said, "My first football game." welcome to the community. It was a sign that said KKK rally that away, which in essence would have been behind where the tower is at Stepfield. That's where it was. Football game number one. I taught for 6 years prior to that, and I had figured some of these things out, so I wasn't really afraid. And so I stopped the buses. I had 2 buses. I stopped the buses. I banged on the top, and I asked the kids if they wanted to get off because some of their band parents were having a meeting next door. I've been on the job for 14 days. Welcome to the community. I went to the second bus, and after that situation, the principal called me in and said, I understand you had a problem on Friday night, Mr. Watkins. I said, yes, sir, I did. So you're not allowed to do that anymore. Don't stop the buses, don't address racism, and you were wrong. I said, no, sir, I was not wrong. I teach your students. I love your students. If you have a problem, you find those people. I am not the problem. And I walked out of his office. That was right and that was wrong. 40 years later, my mother's birthday was last Saturday. She would have been 93. She passed away 34 years ago. It's the morning of Barbara Bush's funeral, so my heart is bleeding for Mrs. Bush, a lovely, lovely, lovely lady. It was the Queen's birthday, my mother's birthday, and I turned the news on, and that same white supremacist rally was less than an hour from my house in Coweta County. I said, oh my gosh, we still got to do the same things. So as times change, sometimes times don't change. So I got to go back into my who am I again and figure some of that stuff out to help the next generation. So with that in mind, I have something I'd like to share with you, and I'll leave you with this. Whenever I need support, for some strange reason, I go to the British authors and the British poets. Although British literature wasn't my favorite class in school. Actually, I didn't like it an awful lot. But it gave me some lasting values that I've often shared with the last of the bands as they moved forward. Nothing to do with the controversy, just moving forward, just how you see life. This one will help you. This one is by Kipling. Word of advice to his son, and he was about to ship off, entitled, If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. I go to the last stanza. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, if you can walk with kings nor lose your common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count on you but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That's Kipling to his son. It's been a pleasure to visit with you. I will now start the presentation for the awards. I do have one thing I'd like to ask you to do. It's going to take someone with some nerves. Where are the drum majors? Drum majors, where are you? All right, you get nerves. We're okay. What time does school start? 8, 15, 20, 25? I never knew when I taught here either. I didn't know. When I finish up these, I'd like for you to I'd like for you to have an opportunity to ask some questions that you've always wanted to ask someone that was around when this building wasn't here and when the stadium wasn't here. Because we had a ceremony in the band room in '82 to put the first uniform on a child's back. None of this was here. Nothing was here. It was a school building. And so I was here, so I watched the whole process change and grow. And so ask a question, what did it feel like when this happened? What did it feel like? What was the parade like? What did it feel like when this happened? So just a question that you may happen to have, and ask it so we can all learn from it, okay? All right, team. I am honored beyond belief to have a scholarship named in my honor, and hopefully it will last to perpetuity. There are a lot of wonderful things that have happened with my association with the high school band, but I retired 5 years ago, so you don't see me very often. Although I think of you often, a lot less often nowadays than I did 5 years ago. But I think of you often, but I am honored that you would see fit to have my name here. STEP, Spirit, Traditions, Excellence, Pride, was actually named by a band booster president named Dick Lee. He was the most enthusiastic booster you've ever seen. We taught both of his daughters that came through the band, and he was at everything for 8 years, all of the time, with a big smile. So I think we put lights on the practice field, we gave it a name. I said, Dick, the christening is yours. Whatever you choose to name the field, let me know. He came back the very next day with STEP. So I can't take credit for the naming of the field and the spirit behind that. That's all Dick Lee, probably in the early 90s that was named up, okay? So for the, gosh, this is gonna sound weird for me. Alfred Watkins STEP Scholarship Award, female, runner-up, Reagan Strasser.
We'll get it right on the second one. There you go.
That's Ryan's sister, that's cool. I taught her brother. Okay, this is the male runner-up. You don't get money for this? You get money or something? What do you get? Oh, okay. I don't want to mess the name up then. This is not the Oscars. The runner-up for male, Richard Stinson. Richard will be in the Midwest next year, my favorite place on earth. He'll be up in Indiana University. And STEP female winner, Lauren Mizell. Were you in my All-State band 3 or 4 years ago, Jess? You and the other one? She was. Okay. And male winner, Will Halloran. And I should say they gave me these affidavits and ABCD, and I just read the ones through based on their interpretation of the organization. And so that's I didn't know who any of them were. So congratulations. It looks like you got good choices. Put me in it? Okay. Can you get one more?
Next on the agenda, it's actually not in your program, but I want to introduce a couple folks who are very special. Many of you knew Chris King when he was here. His parents have established the Chris King Memorial Scholarship Award. In my mind, it's one of the more important recognitions we give to this band community. So would you please welcome his parents, Mike and Amy King.
Thank you, Todd. As Todd said, I'm Chris's father, and we have Chris's mother, Amy, and Chris's sister, Emily, who's a 2008 graduate of Lassiter. His brother, Johnny, couldn't be here. Y'all will figure this out, or y'all will experience this in the future. Work interfered with his ability to be here. He's a 2012 graduate of Lassiter. So the parents in the group, rest assured that one day you'll stop writing checks. Emily's a perfect example of that. So I'm here to announce this year's recipients of the Chris King Memorial Scholarship. And just a reminder, we'll award 2 scholarships. They're each a $1,000 one-time scholarship. And we hope to increase that over time. Inflation has a tendency to take a bite out of funds for college. Let me tell you, first, thanks to all of y'all who were nominated or submitted a nomination. It just felt right to me when we established this scholarship that we have kids recognizing their peers for the character traits that Christopher was recognized for. And it's really a joy to read these. I find myself reading some of these and reading about specific examples of his character and saying, that is so Christopher. You can almost imagine him doing the same thing. And it's clear to me that the Lassiter Band continues to develop young adults with strong character. And I want to thank Mr. Thompson and Mr. Lynch for serving with me and Ms. King on the selection committee. Today is actually Christopher's 21st birthday. I'm sure he's here in spirit with us this morning, and I'm sure he's pleased we are recognizing members of the band and color guard with these scholarships on his birthday. But before I announce them, let me just say good luck to all of y'all. I'm sure most, if not all of you, will be going on to college. Those who choose another career path, that's fine too, but good luck, and I'm sure your experience in the band or color guard will serve you well in the future. So with that, I want to announce the 2 scholarships, and these are both seniors. The first goes to Reagan Strasser. And the second scholarship goes to Logan Barney.
So I get to wrap us up. Again, thank you guys for taking your time to be here this morning. Thank you, directors. Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Thank you to the Kings for being a part of this morning. I'll wrap up with just a quick story that I saw 2 seniors this year, and it kind of wraps up kind of the way I feel about the band. I'm gonna make it through this, I promise you. After one of the concerts, see two of the seniors sit down at the grand piano, and the first young man just starts ripping on the keys. I walked up and I said, that's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of talent that we've got in this band. He slides over, the young lady slides over, starts ripping on the keys, and in an empty concert hall, starts belting it out, singing. There's a ridiculous amount of talent in this room and in this program. You guys have been excellent leaders for the classes to come. Carry that with you into college. Thank you guys for joining us this morning.